Well, hello, welcome again to our reading of the Greek New Testament. I'm reading through Colossians up to chapter 4. Hoi kurioi to dikaion kai ten isote tois doulois par ekeste, dotes hoti kai humes ekati kurion en urano. So I think masters here, because it's in the context of slaves. So the masters, and the main verb here is parekes there, from pareko, it's in the middle here, provide justice and, equity or fairness for the slaves. Adotes, knowing that you, it's emphatic there, you also have kurion, a master in heaven. Te prosuke proskarterete gregoruntes en aute en Eucharistia, pros eukomenoi hamakai perihemon, hinohothios enoixe, hemin thuron tu logu lelesai to mysterion tu Christu, dihot kai dedemai. Hina phaneroso auto hos de me lelesai. The verb here, again, it's an imperative. It's from proskarterio, a not uncommon verb in the New Testament. It means to remain steadfast or remain constant. So remain constant in prayer. Gregorio, another not uncommon word. It means keeping awake. Being attentive. En aute must refer back to prayer. So keep being attentive in it with, and I think this is instrumental here, with thanksgiving. So it can also mean keeping watch, Gregorio, keeping awake, keeping watch in it with thanksgiving. Pros eukomenoi, praying at the same time also, perihemon, regarding us, hina, in order that God, now this is from anoigo, it's the aorist subjunctive from anoigo, to open. So in order that God may open for us, literally a door for the word, to speak the mystery of Christ. This is idiomatic here, a door in the sense of might give us opportunity. So to open the door of the word for us means God might give us opportunity to speak the mystery of Christ. De ho, on account of which also, de demai is perfect passive from deo, I am bound, I have been bound. I am in a state of being bound. Hina, in order that I might make manifest, I might make obvious or clear that thing, so it's referring back to the mysterion, the mystery, as, or perhaps since, it is necessary for me to speak it. So that I might make clear it, that is the mystery, since it is necessary for me, lelesai, to speak. En Sophia, patete prostus exo, ton chiron ex agoras domenoi, I'll just finish this bit off, hologos humon pantoti in chariti halati hetumenos, edenai post de humas eni hekasto apokrinestai. Another imperative, so it's the walk, hence conduct yourselves. Probably with wisdom, again for this use of en, with wisdom, towards those outside. That must mean outside of the church, outside the congregation. We get this funny expression here, literally buying back the time. Some translate, and there's much written on this, you'll need to look at the commentaries on this particular expression. Interestingly, the same expression occurs in Ephesians 5:16. So it's an interesting expression that occurs in, hence the linkage between Ephesians and Colossians. So buying back the time, perhaps exploiting the season. Hot logos humone, that's got to supply the verb to be. So let your word always be with grace. And another interesting expression, halati artumenos. This is from artuo. Has the sense of prepare, but here I think it means seasoned, and it's a passive, perfect passive, I think, here. So, having been seasoned halati with salt. This is a later form, or late form, of the Greek word hals, which is normally the word for salt, and in fact cognate with our word salt, sal in Latin. This is a later form, halas. Halas, halati is the dative from halas. Interestingly, in this, the noun halas survives into modern Greek. Halas is the modern Greek word for salt. So it means seasoned with salt. Adonai, in other words, making sure that it's not just destructive but actually useful, constructive. Adonai post de humas en hekasto, to know how it is necessary for you to give answer heni hekasto to each and every man, to each and every person, literally to each one. Now we get various final greetings now here. So ta kat emepanta gnorise humin Tychicus ho agapetos adelphos kai pistos diakonos kai sundulos en kariou hon epimps pros humas es auto tuto hina gnoti ta peri hemon kai parakalese tas cardias humon sun Onesimus or Onesimo to pisto kai agapeto adelpho hos est in ex humon panta humin gnorisus ta hodi. So we're going to go to the main subject here, which is this Tychicus. So Tychicus, the beloved brother and faithful diakonos servant, kai sundulos, and fellow slave in the Lord. Now the main verb here is gnorise, which is future from gnorisdo. He will make known humin to you, ta panta, all the things kat emer regarding me. So he whom epempsa, eris from pempo, whom I sent to you, as autot tutot, for this very reason. Hina, in order that, now we get a aorist subjunctive here from ginosko, in order that you might know, ta peri hamon, the things regarding us, and there's variant readings here, and he might encourage or console your hearts. Sun Onesimo, along with Onesimus, and here we get a connection with the book Philemon. This must be the same guy. He has an interesting name. The name itself means the useful one. So along with Onesimus, the faithful and beloved brother, who is ex-humon from among you, panta humon gnorisusita hodi. They will make known, that's that gnorisdo verb again, they will make known to you all things, ta hodi, literally the things here. So they'll make known to you all the news from here. Aspadzatai humas aristarchos ho sun aikmelotos mu kai markos ho anepsios barnaba. I'll just pause it there. So Aristarchus, now we get this interesting word here, the sun aikmelotos. It translates as my fellow inmate and my fellow prisoner. He greets you. It's an interesting word. It just means a fellow prisoner here. It's got sun plus the aikmelotos. Aikmelotos is a prisoner. It's originally someone who was taken by the spear. In other words, one who was taken captive in war was the original meaning. You probably can't press that too much here because it's just become the standard word for a prisoner. But aikme is an old word for a spear, and the hal here in the alotos is connected with haliskemai, to take. So this was a spear-taken person, so one who is has been arrested, or perhaps prisoner. So my fellow prisoner Aristarchus greets you, and Marcos and Mark, the anepsios, the cousin. Barnaba is a genitive here, no, Doric genitive, the cousin of Barnabas. And again, I'll leave you to look at the commentaries on all these names and connections and things. Peri hu elabete, from regarding whom elabete you received entolas, that is instructions or commands, ean elthe pros humas, if he might come to you. And then dexas there out on imperative, receive him. Imperative from dechemai, to receive. Ka Jesus hot legomenos justos hoi ontes ek peritomes, hutoi monoi sun ergo oi esten basilean to theou, hoitines egenethes en moi par egoria. And Jesus, the one who is called Justice, or Justos. This, of course, is a Hebrew name, and this is a Roman name. Those being, and there's no connective here, but it must be and those being, ek peritomes, literally from the circumcision. And it's often used in the sense of from the circumcision party, or from perhaps those who are circumcised. Often used in a negative sense in the New Testament, but here it's positive. So those being from the circumcision party, those ones alone, those fellow workers alone, I should say, in the kingdom of God, the very ones who became, this is from Ginomai, a paragoria. This is a word meaning a consolation. It's connected with the agoria root and para. It's simply an abstract noun meaning consolation. So who became a consolation to me. Aspastatai humas epaphras ho ex humon, doulos Christou in brackets Jesu pantoti agonizomenes hupa humon, entais prosuchais hinas tethete telaioi kai peplerophore menoi in panti thelemata to theou. And Epaphras greets you, the one who is from among you, the slave or the servant of Christ, in brackets Jesus, always agonizomenos, always striving, undergoing agonies, always striving on behalf in the prayers, in order that you might stand telaioi perfect, and having been fulfilled, from pleraphorio, in, so well, it's really bearing fulfillment, so perhaps having been fulfilled is all right there, in each will, so in all the will of God, so in each intent of God. Marturo ga auto hotieke polon ponon hyperhumon, kaiton in Laodicea, kaiton in Hierapole. For I bear witness to him that he has much labour, hyperhumon, on your behalf, so in other words he's undergone much labour on your behalf, and of those in Laodicea, and of those in Hierapolis. Aspasdatai humas Lucas ho iaptros ho agapertos kai demos. And Luke, the beloved physician, very interesting, this is the only reference I think we have to Luke being a physician in the New Testament. So Luke, the beloved physician, greets you, and also Demas. Aspasaster tus in Laodicea Delphus kai numphan, kai ten katoi konautes ecclesian. Greet those brothers in Laodicea, and Nympha, now this is a woman's name, and Nympha, and the church which is in her house. Interestingly, we have a house church here which is headed up by a woman, or at least she owns the house. Kai Hotan and Anagnoste par humin he epistole, poiesiti hina kai en Laodicean ecclesia anagnoriste kai ten ek Laodiceas, hina kai humas anagnote. That's an interesting verse here, and whenever the letter might be read, this is a aorist passive subjunctive from anaginosko, which is to read. There's a slightly later meaning of the word, but by this stage anaginosko means to read. And whenever the letter is read among you, poiesite, it means do, but something like cause it to happen, that it might be read also in the church of the Laodiceans. And tain, now there's nothing to go with this, it must be, you must have to supply epistolane and the letter, so it's see to it also that you might read the letter from Laodicea. Now, if this has been much written on, I'll simply say that there were a number of pseudo-letters of Paul from Laodicea, little bits of which have survived. They're later forgeries. The letter from Laodicea may be another name for the epistle to the Ephesians, and that's one of the interesting theories here, that he's actually referring to Ephesians here, which again casts doubt on Colossians, because the letter to the Ephesians many scholars do not believe was written by Paul. So this is all quite mysterious here, and I leave it to commentators to discuss it. So there's some mysterious letter from Laodicea here. It may simply be a lost letter that we don't have. It may refer to Ephesians, we don't know. Kai e parte archipo blepetitan diconian hen parelebas en curio hina auten plerois. And speak to Archippus, blepe, so it's look to, so it's almost be careful of the ministry which you have received, the service or ministry which you have received in the Lord, in order that you might, that you are this is a subjunctive here, that you might fulfill it. This is from Playrocco. In order that you might fulfill it. Paul often ends his letters with a personal greeting in his own hand, because he's dictating the rest of it, and he finally writes something in his own hand. Haspasmos te emakeri Paulu. And the greeting of Paul, so here is the greeting of Paul with my hand, in other words with my own hand. Mene monuet temu ton desmon hekaris meth humon. Remember my chains, my bonds, and grace be with you. And that's the end of the letter to Colossians.